You go when he tells you. Know what I mean? Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh 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 shit! Oh shit! Shit!
Today we're playing the red, white, and blue. That's right, Jeskai Control. Narset's insane. She's probably the best planeswalker in the format, and I feel like she's really underused. But here we put her to great effect, and the deck is just insane at controlling the board. And right now there's a lot of green running around. There's food decks rearing their ugly heads, and there's Selesnya, Yori and Sky Noodle decks that are trying to take advantage of really big green creatures, and this deck just puts them in their place. So let's check it out. So this deck is all about controlling the board and gaining as much value as possible with each of your individual cards. At the core of the deck, we're playing Narset. Narset's an absolutely crazy value machine, really important to the deck. We can uptick to not only ramp our mana and gain life against stuff like mono red aggro, which is really, really important, but we can also downtick to draw cards and gain card advantage. We can discard cards to the downtick to remove threats, and if we get to her ultimate, there are a ton of non-creature cards in our deck that can trigger the ultimate emblem and actually do more damage to creatures, more creature removal, or possibly even to the head, so that we can just win the game outright. Narset's unbelievable. And if you build around her correctly, she's even better. So what we're doing with this deck is almost half of our mana base is modal lands. We have 4 copies of Emeria's Call, 4 copies of Seagate Restoration, and then 2 copies of Ondu Inversion. What's great about these cards is if you get them early, sure, they come down as a land. In the mid game, when you don't have enough mana to play them as the spells yet, you can still discard them to Narset's downtick ability, do a ton of damage to a creature, and get value that way. So it's almost like half of our lands have the ability to be discarded to Narset to do damage instead of just being lands, which normally wouldn't be able to do that. So it's really, really good, even if we don't play the spell. If we get to the late game, being able to drop an Ondu Inversion if they've taken over the board can be really important. Being able to get multiple threats out of Emeria's Call can be absolutely broken, and doubling the cards in our hand with Seagate Restoration is even though sometimes it's hard to pull this off, a lot of times this will be kind of dead because you'll be out of gas. You can be in certain situations where you're trying to outvalue your control opponent, and having a Seagate Restoration late game with 3 or 4 cards in your hand can be really, really bonkers. So all of these together are really great. Only 2 of them, the Ondu Inversions, have to come into play tapped. So it doesn't hurt us too much other than hitting us in our life total. But the whole deck is control. So it's a lot of times we can handle shocking in a land if we absolutely have to, or bolting in a land if we absolutely have to, and taking that damage in order to gain control of the board and make sure that we don't take any more damage through combat. There's a lot of ways we do this. We're running Keruga as our companion. Now, Keruga means we can only play cards that cost 3 or more, but playing this guy is an absolute value engine. A lot of times he'll come down, maybe he'll only draw us a card or 2, but sometimes he can refill our entire hand. And with everything in the deck being such high casting cost, he really just does a lot of work. So having him as companion is awesome, and then we need to get around his stipulation of having a mana cost 3 or greater. So we're running 4 copies of Brazen Borrower and 4 copies of Bonecrusher Giant. Now, Bonecrusher Giant's arguably the best card in the format, and for good reason. You know, we can play this for 2 mana as a removal spell on turn 2, when we otherwise wouldn't be able to play a 2-drop because of Keruga. And then we also can put it down on turn 3 as a really beefy blocker to hold off the opponent until we get to the point where we can wipe the board. Brazen Borrower, similar. We can return a threat to their hand on turn 2 if we have to with only 2 mana. We can also bring it down as a 3/1 if we need to try to close out the game. Or if we absolutely need to, we can discard it to things like Narset. But being able to bounce something on turn 2 is really, really important in a deck where everything is supposed to cost 3 or more. We've also got 2 copies of Skyclave Apparition. This thing is absolutely bonkers. I think it's undervalued a bit. Kroxa is really huge in the environment right now, and being able to take out a Kroxa forever with a Skyclave Apparition and have them only be able to get a 2/2 vanilla creature back if they kill the apparition is really insane. The Kroxa doesn't go to their graveyard, and so it's gone forever. They don't get to escape it again. Absolute value drain. We've also got 2 copies of Linvala and 2 copies of Outlaws Merriment. Now this sort of serves as a soft combo. The Outlaws Merriment's there to just grant us a bunch of value over time. It's something where if we have hit the ultimate ability on Narset and gotten that emblem, it's another non-creature spell that can trigger that while also still giving us creatures in the long run. It'll spit out a creature every turn so that we get a lot of value out of it. It's a non-creature, so we have Shark Typhoon later in the curve, and if we happen to have a Shark Typhoon down, we play Outlaws Merriment, we get a shark out of it. So there's a lot of incidental value built into Outlaws Merriment. But what makes it really cool is with Linvala. Now Linvala is here primarily to protect our board against our own wrath effects. We can drop it out as a really good on-curve creature. 3/3 flyer for 3 is nothing to sneeze at. But if we get into a position where we have 2, 3, 4 creatures on board and we want to wrath ourselves, we can sack Linvala, we can play Shatter the Sky, clear the board, we keep our entire board. It's basically a one-sided wrath. We only lose our Linvala, and then after shattering the sky, we can swing in with the rest of our team, sometimes close out the game that way, or get them really close to dead and then have a full board. So it's nuts with Shatter the Sky, and it gets a little bit better with Outlaws Merriment, because if we happen to have made a creature of each of the 3 types that Merriment can make, Cleric, Warrior, and Rogue, Linvala's primary ability will actually activate and let us lock down any permanent on their side of the board, which is nothing to sneeze at. So those 2 kind of work in tandem together pretty well. And also, if you're desperate, you can just discard them to Narset as a way to deal damage to something. So they're never dead in your hand, and I think they're great. Going back to the sweepers, we do have the 4 copies of Shatter the Sky, and then we also have 2 copies of Realm-Cloaked Giant. We're using this for the cast-off ability for 5 to wipe the board. But what's really cool about Realm-Cloaked Giant is there's a little bit of incremental value where, even though we're usually playing it for 5 to wipe the board, if we decide we need to discard it to Narset, it'll actually do 7 to something, because it technically costs 7 as the giant side of it. And that's really valuable. It's especially valuable in tandem with Elspeth Conquers Death. We're running 4 copies of this, and it's absolutely bonkers. I say bonkers a lot, but it is. So page 3 can actually get back the 7/7 giant from our graveyard if we've discarded it to Narset, or if it's just died for whatever reason. ECD, you don't need any introduction for this card. This card is just insane. Exiling their big threats and then getting extra value on the following turns is just nuts. Being able to discard any of our creatures to Narset and get them back with the ECD is also pretty crazy. So really, really great card. We're also running 1 copy of Legion Angel with more copies in the sideboard, and this is obviously important because chances of drawing into this 1 Legion Angel are kind of slim. It's not going to happen every game, but when it does, it's its own built-in value engine. You play 1, you grab another one from the sideboard, you play another one, you play another one. Eventually, it's essentially 4 cards for 1, and it's just so much value that it can empty your opponent's hand if they're holding up removal, and just make it really, really hard for your opponent to keep up. So I feel like Legion Angel is an auto-include as a one-off with 3 in the sideboard in almost any white deck you're going to play. Moving on, we've already covered the Shark Typhoons. Now, obviously, that we have a lot of non-creatures, so we can make a lot of sharks if this is in play. But it's also really important because we can cycle it to make a shark, which means we can make a creature at instant speed that's uncounterable. And that can be really, really relevant sometimes and not to be overlooked. The final card I want to talk about here is Dream Trawler. Dream Trawler is even better now than it used to be. With the way decks are going, they're trying to stick mid-range value onto the field. They're trying to go wider and go taller than you and just eventually get there. And Dream Trawler just kind of stops all of that in its tracks. It flies over all of the ground forces, gains you back all of the life that you might lose when they attack you back, and it draws cards. And if they try to kill it, you discard cards. Like, this card has always been insane. And with the way that the meta is now, with a lot of green running around, it's especially good. So that's the deck. I think it's pretty good. There are definitely some weaknesses in the current meta that it doesn't stack up well against. It's definitely primed to try to take on creature heavy decks, but as of late, we've got some creature heavy decks really running rampant. So I think it's doing pretty well, and let's jump into the games. This is fine. We'll lead with Emeria's Call tapped as a land. Plays a goose. I think I want to get really techie here. This is blue. I'm gonna Petty Theft the food. That way he can't play a 3-drop this turn. Red or white? If we don't drop it for red, all of our Narsets might be useless, as well as Outlaws Merriment. But if we don't drop it for white, we can't use Skyclave Apparition this turn. And that feels really bad. I think we just have to hope to get lucky. Okay. We're gonna take his Trail of Crumbs. Pass the turn. Keruga's Harbinger. Hey, we got our red. Which means we can kill Keruga's Harbinger.
Let me demonstrate the prowess of my strike.
Discard another Narset. We're gonna hold back the Apparition in case he has a Questing Beast. Oh wait, it can't block Questing Beast. I should have just swung. That's okay.
To open the mind, you must first open the heart.
Could Skyclave Apparition that Love-Struck Beast. I kind of want to save it though for post Shatter the Sky. Let's do a value play here. No attacks. So what we'll do is we'll block the Lovestruck Beast with the Skyclave Apparition this turn, and then next turn we'll Wrath. Nice. Come on, come on. Scoozy doozy. Play another creature. Come on. Play another creature. Good boy. Play another creature. No. It's got lifelink, so we're gonna swing with it. Doesn't realize we have a Shatter. Nice. Nice. He's not thinking. He is not thinking. We'll +1. Go white. And we'll Shatter. He will draw a card. But we're still way up on value. Way up on value. Cobra with nothing to fight. Can I do... Yes.
Meditate with me.
Damn it. You don't have the 5th land. Dump Skyclave Apparition and then stomp it, and we'll just keep this guy back in case he gets a hasty dude, right? No, he can't get a hasty dude. The only hasty dude he can get is Questing Beast, and we can't block it, so we'll just do that. Alright, we're in really good position here. We are in really good position. Sure. Never hurts.
Open the mind, you must first open the heart.
ECD. Now if he gets a Questing Beast in the next 2 turns, it won't matter if he kills Narset. It'll come back to ECD. Something funny, something people will use. Alright, Temple, we're gonna look for a land. Pass turn. We get to take a turn. I'm gonna hold off. I could play the Apparition here to eat the Omen, but I don't think it's good enough. Play the land. The Keruga in our hand. I don't want to eat any of those. Oh, that's something I can eat.
You are going to fight beside me.
Yes. I like it. I could also ECD it. I think that's actually better.
I have not given up the fight.
Now I can play Narset, and he won't be able to crack back and kill it. That's fine. That's fine. I think we eat the Doom Foretold. No, we eat the Omen, because then he'll have to sack his own Doom Foretold. Yes, yes. Pass turn. Resolve. Hey, we got rid of both of them. And he only gets a 2/2 back if he kills my Apparition, rather than a 4/4. Alright. He's looking for land. He's playing Birth. He's looking for more land. So much land. I think I want to do a Halloween themed deck. I think it'd be fun. Just all ghosts and witches and shit. Alright, what do we do here? Probably just play a Shark Typhoon hardcasted. I mean, we're in super good position. He's not playing any threats at all. He's got nothing to Yorion, which I assume he's playing Yorion. No Sky Noodles today. Brings back this boy. That's fine. Yukin has 2/2. Now we have 7. What to do? Play Narset, uptick. It's not going to do anything. Play another Shark Typhoon, make a 6/6, and then we have to sacrifice one of our Shark Typhoons. We could Keruga and try to draw into something, but that's not going to give us another. You kind of don't mind losing Narset, right? So we have another one?
That which appears mystical is merely the result of practice. Enlightenment begins within.
Pass turn. We have to make sure Narset survives so we can sack it, so we don't have to sack our Shark Typhoon. Ah, bummer. Oh wait, it's power, right? Yeah. Nice. ECD. So we CD the Doom Foretold. And we swing. He's gonna get rid of something on his turn, but it kind of doesn't matter what. Everything in our hand is really good. We kind of want him to get rid of the Narset, because our ECD can just get back our Narset. And he does. Another Doom Foretold. This is hard. I guess this. Just keep playing Shark Typhoons. Keep making big sharks. He's trying. He's trying real hard. We got him. We got him. Anyway, enough talk about animals. Let's play some Magic. Oh, Newt Salamander is from Harry Potter, you're right. That's actually kind of funny. Alright, we are actually going to play an untapped land here so that we can hold up Stomp. Normally I would save it for turn 4 in case we need to Wrath, but we have another one over here, so. Okay then, my turn. He is not playing anything. So we're just gonna play this tapped. Hold up Stomp and Petty Theft. Pass turn. What's tricky about the decision making in this deck is there's a lot of modal lands, and you have to kind of pick and choose which turns you're going to have an untapped land, and really plan for that. Well, let's make him waste a turn replaying that. Oh. Or we'll make him waste a Mystical Dispute. I'm okay with that as well. So I think we play the Triome and put Keruga in our hand. We're very much ahead on card advantage, so. Alright, we can't ECD. We don't want to wipe. So I think we just hold up Stomp and Petty Theft, which means we play the tapped land. Unfortunately, we're playing another control deck, so it's a little awkward. It's kind of control against control, and I just have all the creature removal in the world and nothing to use it on. But hey, maybe he'll play like a Shark Typhoon or something, we can ECD it. Now at this point I don't want to bounce the Tome, because I don't want him to get extra value off of it. And he will. He's got enough mana now that he will. I'm gonna go red. And play Narset. I'm gonna try to play Narset. Because it's something we can do that's proactive. Sure. Pass turn. I love control. I'm typically a control player, but I like tap out control. I won't usually be running counter spells. And most of the time when I do run counter spells, it's very counter spell heavy deck. I don't typically, you know, walk the line between the two. Like I was playing for a little while, Simic Flash, and it was just all counter spells all day, just counter everything they do. Temple. Sure. That's good for us. Alright, we need to try to eat some removal here. So let's stomp, play a creature, try to get him to spend some of his cards. There we go. That's fine. Better that than our Keruga. Better that than our Keruga. Now, Outlaws Merriment will probably eat a counterspell. We'll see. He's thinking hard. We have the 3 mana untapped, so he's off. Pass turn. Pretty even right now. He's technically up on a card, but every card in our hand is a 2-for-1. And that can't be ignored. I'm tempted to throw away an ECD here. If he counters it, we need to eat a counter anyway. We need to eat it with something we don't mind losing. We have 3 ECDs. If he doesn't counter it, we make his counter spells cost more next turn. We eventually get something back from the graveyard with it, probably Narset. And we have a card down so that we can at least play Keruga and get something. We are going to Petty Theft the Shark Typhoon. See if we can eat his counter spell here. And we do. Nice. Well, we're gonna do this and do that. He has no ECDs. All of his spells cost 2 more now. He's gonna Croxa. Seems pretty okay. We can't ECD or Realm-Cloaked Giant the Croxa. We can Shatter the Sky the Croxa. Get rid of the Realm-Cloaked Giant. It's also something we can bring back with ECD. Which is nice. We'll get Narset for now.
State your intent.
5, 6, 7. We could potentially have 8. I think we get some card advantage here.
Consider the future, then strike.
Dump Ondu Inversion, kill the shark. I don't see that card being super useful right now. We'll play Keruga. See if we eat a counterspell. Nope. Draw 2 more cards. At this point we have huge card advantage. And we eat a Heartless Act. That's pretty good. Alright. Temple will scry. That seems pretty good. We need threats right now, so. I want a Skyclave Apparition his Grixis so bad. It's gonna feel so good. We will discard a Shatter the Sky. Nice. That's a big boy. That is a very big boy. Let's see if we can resolve the apparition. Yep, he draws a card. So we get it. Oh, that's painful. That's painful. I think we draw a card here. Feels right to me.
Strike with a cunning mind.
Pass turn. We'll keep everything in hand for now. Resolve. Heartless Act. Sure. He does realize that he doesn't get Croxa back. Nice.
Here, deep below.
Sweet.
All your fears are given form.
My turn. We will stomp this dude, because we can. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3.
Breathe in. Exhale.
Yep. That is game. Listen, Narset's basically the Chuck Norris of Magic, so play that card. Anyway, give this video a like, maybe leave us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe because that helps us most of all. And until next time, may all of your Wrath of Gods hit while you have a Linvala on the field ready to protect your entire board.